I will start a new WPF .NET Framework project, and let us call this as custom control buttons. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to build custom control buttons from scratch in a window. We'll first see that, and then finally I will also show how to use a library from Kali where you can do it easily without having to do this from scratch again and again. So currently there are no external libraries added here. This is a plain project, a vanilla project that I have added now. Nothing is there. So without doing anything, let me start my project to see how the windows looks. Okay, this is what we have here. We have it might differ in your system based upon the themes or settings or whatever you have in your PC. So in my PC, I do not have any special themes. I just have the dark theme, so I see something like this. It could be different in your PC. So we have the usual minimize, maximize, and the close buttons. And for close button, we see some color highlighting, but other than that, we have this here. And when we press our mouse elsewhere and we try to press and hold and drag, it doesn't move. But when you do the same in your, what do you call that, title bar, you are able to, oops. So now we are able to drag and move. So this is our normal Windows. We don't have any customization done yet. So let me first close this. The first step to do, before the first step, let us add some content to see how it looks. So as usual, I'll add a text block and text. We are not going to change the history. So let us do what the world does. Hello world. Just like everyone else. Font size, let it be maybe 40, and foreground is gray. Horizontal is center and vertical is center. So this is our window now. Let me increase this so it will be visible. Okay. The first and foremost step is you have something called as window style. Window style. So the window style can be none, single border, three border, tool window. First, let us start with tool window, and then we see how it looks. This is just to understand. So if you see the tool window, we have now removed our maximize and minimize buttons, and even the close button has now shrunk. It looks a little bit smaller now. It's not in the same size as before. Okay, the next one, single border window. Let's see how it looks. This is the normal flavor which we always get. The third one, three border window. No, I don't see much difference here. So we can now see one thing, 3D border window and tool window, I'm sorry, 3D border window and single window. Maybe there could be some difference, but I don't see them here anyway. It looks simple. The one that we need is none. When you set none, you might have noticed now here, when you set none, it is gone, single window. So in the tool window, you will only get your close button, but in your single border and 3D border, you are getting all the controls. And when you go for none, the whole title bar is now removed. You don't get them anymore. But the problem here is you will not be able to move them. There is no drag and move facility now. It is just being there, and you don't have the close functionality, but you are still able to resize. So the resize also, you have the control. You can go here and say resize, and you can say like it can minimize, can resize with group, and no resize. If you set it as no resize, and then there is no resize as well. It is just fixed there. So we need this window, but we don't need no resize. We obviously need can resize with grip. Let it be there. Let us just see how it looks. Okay, so now it looks fine. We have the resize mode, but the only thing that we are now missing is drag and move. So for that one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add something in my grid. So let us first split our whole window into two. So we will design or define our own grid dot row definitions. Start to row definitions. Grid dot row definitions, and the first row is going to be my header, and let's say the height is 30, and second row is going to be my content, and whatever I have here should go into my content. So let me just add some comments so that I could easily understand it. So this is going to be my content, and inside content, let us put the content itself into a grid, and the grid, let it go into grid dot row is 2, sorry 1, so 0 and 1. So we are putting them in our if it is difficult, I will hide this so we can see what's happening here. Okay, the text blocks goes into content area so that it comes like this, and the header is going to be here. So let's say uh, header. In our header, we will start with a grid and add a background is equal to purple, and there we go. Let's see again how it looks. That looks fine, but still it doesn't have the drag and move facility. That is very simple to add. All you need to do is just go here and press there are two events here, and before I explain about the event, I need to explain something else. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it. As I always say in my other videos, there is always more than one way to achieve a result. So what I'm explaining here is for you to understand how it is done and how it is made possible. But the best way to build any kind of custom control that you are going to reuse will be by building a custom control. Okay, the names are confusing, but I will show something else here. This is a quick detour from our explanation, but I will just do that here. When you go here and add, you will find something called user controller and windows and pages. These are all the normal ones that you do, like when you're going to build something by drag and drop and using the UI, you'll be using user control. So what I'm saying is instead of windows, page and user control, go to new window, and if you go to your WPF, you will find something else called custom controller. This is what I mean by doing it in a proper way. When you build something, some plain windows or some customized buttons which you know that you are going to reuse across different projects, then it's always better to build them as a library using custom control. But this video is not about custom control. This video is about showing you how it could be done in an easy way. And then finally, I will explain about some libraries from Haley which are built using custom controls. So you can reuse them again and again. That doesn't mean that you cannot reuse this window. We will come to that point shortly. So the first thing is this grid. Grid will contain so many events. I know the event is preview mouse button, left button down, but if you want to know what event you are going to use, all you need is the properties. Open your properties, and if you know that you have selected, selected the grid, you see the type is grid. If I select text to block, type is text block. So I selected my grid, go to my events, and if you go down, you see something called not mouse left button down. When you say mouse left button down, that means that the mouse has clicked and you are going to do something. the preview mouse left button down comes before even the mouse left button down event is initiated. So with preview mouse down, and we don't want in the right right mouse button, we only need the left mouse button. Preview mouse left button down. So when you press the left mouse button before even starting any other events that are associated, we are going to do something which is WPF already has a lot of behaviors and attached behaviors enabled. So one such behavior is this dot drag move. So this is if you press select and press F12, you could see that this is a method for this particular window. So when you call that method, then the window itself is dragged and moved based upon where you select. So it's very quite straightforward. Uh, for your preview mouse left button down, you are going to add an event and call when I press F12 this dot drag move. So now I press and drag and move, and this is quite good. And now I'm going to add a couple of buttons here. This whole item is totally fine for me. Uh, I'm going to add something else. So in the header, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to add one more grid, and this horizontal alignment is right. Why? Because I want it on the right side, which is going to be my control boxes. And let us name this grid as grid header or whatever you want. And for this grid, we'll take the size of the parent header. So we know because because this grid is present inside that, we know that size is going to be that. So let us split it using different columns, column definitions, column definition. But the size width of the columns should be so the width is going to be binded to an element whose name is grid header, and the grid header's path is actual height. So what I'm doing here is, if you see here, a small guideline has created. Whatever is the height of the grid, that is going to be the width, so that I know that I'm making a perfect square. So this is what I'm going to do for the rest of the columns as well. So I have three columns. All these three columns are now in a square shape, and all of them, if I increase the height of this grid, from 30 to maybe 50, then when you select your columns, they also become 50 in the width, because the column width is binded to the grid header height. So we have a perfect square there. So let us make it 30. That looks fine. Even 27 will look fine. Okay, and I don't need purple. It's just startup. I believe we can make it something like transparency. Let's take blue, and make it 60% transparent. A is for transparency. And when you do this, you could not see. You could see that the white color is still there, because the whole window also has a background. Turn the background of the window to null, and let us try something. Okay. Now we need one more thing. Even though, let me open it up again. Even though we have set the transparency level of this color to 60%, I'm not able to see what is behind. I hope you are also not able to see that, or maybe I have some problem, because I feel like I'm seeing them. What you need to do is allow transparency in the parent window. So parent window allows the transparency. Transparency is equal to true. Now let us try again. There you go. I hope you should be able to see my hello window there, but now it is allowing the transparency. So you could see in the header, the main window and everything is now visible. So that is totally fine. Now for this whole grid, the header, we don't need to set anything, but for the content here, we are going to set the background, and let us say as usual white. So now it should be perfectly all right. So if you see the header, if I move somewhere, you could see in the regions that the buttons behind and everything is visible, but still the window is moving. So you are able to do that. That's fine. That is the second thing. And the next thing is I'm going to add some kind of round borders here. So when we speak about round, we need to enclose everything inside a border, and that will involve a lot of interesting things. First, let us add a border and put them all inside, because you cannot have multiple contents. If you see, then there will be an error. Content is set more than once. There are only few containers like grid, stack panel. Those can contain multiple contents, but border can contain only one content. Border, windows, everything. So now we have everything inside something called a border, and I'm going to set the border corner radius is 10, but I'm not seeing any difference here. The reason is, let me do something else here. I will set for just for understanding how it is. You see, there is a border in the window, yeah, but you are not able to see because your grid is on top of your border, and that is completely hiding your grid is completely hiding your borders. So we should not worry about that at this moment. So before that, let me remove this one. So we know for a fact that there is a border, but our grid and other controls on top of it are hiding our border in the back. So just pay close attention. I'm going to put everything again inside another grid, because grid can contain two, one or more contents. So I'm going to add one more border here. You will shortly see why I'm doing this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called as opacity mask. Opacity mask is like when you use another shape to cut your shape. So let's say you have designed your own custom shape. There is also one more video that we have published for custom shapes. So you design a star shape or a folder shape and use that shape to cut your grid or border so that the corners looks exactly like that. So we are going to now use this border as let's say opacity or mask border mask. So this border will have a corner radius of 20, and background, let's make it transparent, or currently let's make it red. We know there is a red color border there, and our main border now, which lays on top of our second border. Like, you know, in when you grid, when you arrange something, it's always one above the other. So the first one comes at the bottom. If I move it here, now that comes on the top, and the first one, the main item, whatever we had, goes into the bottom. So you can still change them using something called as index, like Z index, and you can say 99. So Z index is like when you have not arranged them in order, but you still want to bring them forward or move them backward, you will be using Z index, but I'm not going to use that here. Let us just keep it simple and keep the border in the back. So there is a border called border mask, which is on the bottom, and above the bottom we have another border, which is our main target, or let's say we don't have to name it exactly, but for understanding, let me mention border main. And this border main will have a opacity mask, and this mask will be a visual brush of visual is equal to binding element name border mask. So did you notice here, your border is now cut to the shape of your bottom element. So you use another element to cut your element. So whatever you place inside are now properly cut. There is one more thing, you don't need the red color anymore, because your transparency will be lost. If you remove it, let's say if you remove it, then everything is lost, because the border mask needs some kind of background color to identify. So you don't need to give a white or some other color. What you need to do is, background is transparent, so that is also a color transparency. Let's run and see if it works. Transparency should work. Very good. Transparency isn't working. Let us make it white and see how it is. Okay, and I don't need white, so I will make the transparency as 1%. Let us keep it simple now. Let us not do much research there. Anyhow, we will lose our header background, but let us not do anything now. Let's see if I add 30%, what happens. Yeah, it looks like a glass, so I don't need it now. Okay, we will come back to this background transparency thing, but currently let us keep it as white. How does it look when it is black? The transparency of the header is lost, but okay, we will come back to that shortly, but first let us finish the other things. But the concept remains the same. You need some kind of a background so that the other the opacity whatever you are going to use needs some kind of a background, so that your opacity brush or visual brush works. Other than that, the transparency thing we will come back, but first the border is set. Now we need the buttons. We already have the grid columns and everything ready, and I'm going to add one more column here so that it moves little bit left. I don't want my border corner radius to be cutting or clipping my close item. So here let's say with this equal to maybe 15, so that it moves a little. It's not the first column, so it should be the last column. So here little bit moved, and this is 3 will be my controls. It's okay. Let's start with something simple. Let's add buttons. We don't need to add anything else. Button, and the content is let's say mi minimize, and button content is ma maximize, and this one goes into grid dot column is equal to 1, goes into the second column, and third one button, come on, button con- content is cl close, grid dot column is equal to 2. Okay, now we have got the 3 buttons, and we will come back again and finalize or fix these look and feel. But first let us add a click. We don't need to add like this. Let us add a name first so that we know what it is. Button minimize, name button maximize, and finally we have a button close. Now if you add click and press tab, the events are created in that name. Okay, let us go to the code behind and see minimize. So what happens is this dot window state is equal to window state dot minimize. So when you press that button, change the window state to minimize. Close is straightforward. This dot close, then straightforward close it, but your maximize is totally different, because minimize means you are minimizing it, close is closing, but maximize means when you press that, whatever is your current shape, position and everything, you need to fill the screen, and then when you press it again we need to fit the screen again. So to do that, what you need to do, first let us say current state. Let us first check the current state. Switch this dot window state. So let us first check the current state and press enter. If your current state is normal, okay, if your current state is normal, then maximize it. If your current state is maximized, then make it normal. Let us not do anything else. If the state is something different, whether it is minimized or something, you don't do anything. So this is quite straightforward. Let us run again and see how it works. Minimize. Wow, it doesn't work. Let me put a checkpoint here. My button even does. Okay. None of my button works. So now there is a reason why it doesn't happen. If you pay close attention, we have our grid in the bottom, and the grid has the preview left mouse button down event activated. So when you add preview, which means that before even it starts, I think I explained this before. Before it starts or activates any other event, it will give priority to that preview mouse button down. And also we have it on the same our control grid is now present inside that grid. So here, if we go here, the grid header, and then your control box is present inside the grid header. So what happens is, before it activates any other events inside your content, you just give preference to that preview mouse button. Now if you make it as mouse left button down and see, now it works. Now it minimizes. Let me open it up, maximize, minimize, close. But this is not something that we need. This is not the correct behavior. We should not take mouse left button. We should take preview mouse left button down. So here I'm going to do something again. The header, I'm going to put it inside another grid, and let's cut them. So this header that we have put inside another grid will contain two columns. Grid dot column definitions, column definition, column definition. And here the width is going to be auto. Width is going to be auto. And first one, the header, the main header where you are going to put the content, let it be on the left. But the second one, whatever you add, let's remove the horizontal alignment and say grid that column is equal to 1. So it comes on the column, and the color we don't set it anymore to this grid header, because now we need to cover every area. So preview left mouse button down is there, and your grid control box is also there. But what happened is, you might not be visible, but from this left point towards this before this mi, we have that preview left mouse button done move, but move is not working. But here the maximize and close should work. Okay, the reason why this grid left mouse button doesn't work is it doesn't have any background. It is null. You need to set a background. Let it make it transparent so that it covers or it is present. So now move. So if you press in this corner right, it will not move, because there is no the first column is the one where we have all the movement. So if you double click, it doesn't work. Okay, maximize, minimize, and close. Okay, all three things works. So we are now able to do it. And let us add one more text block here, and add the text as window, or you can even bind it from here, the title main window, or if you want to add your own window, you can do it. So let us bind it. Let's add a name to the window main, and go here, binding, element name, window main, path is equal to title. So whatever is the title that you give will now be visible on the left side. And here let us make it vertical alignment is center, horizontal alignment is left, margin is equal to 15,0. So it starts at this point, foreground is equal to white, whatever you want. Since it is a binding, it will show now. The title main window shows here. So if you change the title, I'm not going to close my window here, but instead I will directly go back and change the title to custom control box demo. Let me press save and go back. So control custom control box demo. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing the debugging, and while debugging I'm changing and saving it. This works here, but for some critical or complex situations, the UI will not get updated. So anyhow, let's close this. Now we have a window, but we don't have the customization yet. That is the main part. First, a simple customization. I will show two things. For the minimize, I'm going to use image, and for maximize and close, I'm going to use small icon shapes, like that you have in your Mac OS for the green color and other one. So let me open up my folder. I already have a couple of images added for Haley WPF. I will add some this line medium. Let me copy this. Where did you go? Okay, maybe let me copy this small minus medium and put it here. I have an image minus medium.png something, and this is a resource file. Inside this button, to the minimize, I'm going to add an image, and source is equal, let me not set the source from here. I have added an image, and I will remove the content because you already have a content inside. Okay, so the image source will be my minus medium, and for the button I'm going to do something, which is my background is the button has so many other controls. I don't need them anymore. I need to strip the button of everything. The button should not have background, should not have border brush, should not have foreground. The button should be, let's check how the foreground works. It doesn't change my image color. That's correct. I'm not so I need a style which should strip my button of everything. So I'm going to add something in the resources. This is a window, so window dot resources, resource dictionary, and first one is I'm going to add a style for what is the target type. X type is normal button, and I need to add a key, and what can we say, like uh, vanilla button maybe. It's not even a button, we are removing it. And what we do is style on setter property template. So I'm going to change the template, and which will be a control template, setter dot value control template, and target type is button. What is this button on? Button, and I will just say content presenter, horizontal alignment is center, vertical alignment is center. Vertical alignment, why did you have to be bottom center? It's a very simple one. What I have done is when you change the template in for any item or any UI, when you change the set the template, what happens is whatever previous settings like the border brush, background, everything will be completely stripped off. It will be totally empty. And how did I know that I need to have a content presenter here? That's very simple. When you open up your button base is derived from something called content control. So which means that content control will contain for sure something called a property called, and it's an object, a property named content. So content presenter is kind of like a container where when you place it inside anywhere, like if you place it inside a button, then button's content will be displayed here. The content can be anything. It can be an image, it can be a text, it can be your customized settings, whatever it is. But usually what happens is you will be enclosing this content presenter inside another grid or another border. So many things you can just, imagination is the limit. You can do anything, but I have stripped everything. Don't show me anything, don't show me background, border brush, anything, nothing. Just show me plain content. Whatever is my content, show it there. That's what it means. So vanilla button. Once you get work more on this, you will know it shortly. So the button style is now going to come from there we go. But we don't need this, now I'm going to add some thing based upon this. The button here, we are going to now add set property margin value is equal to, let's say, 4. So there is a margin of 4. If 4 is more, let's say 3. Let's save and try to see how it goes. Button works. Now what I'm going to do is, when my mouse moves there, cursor, I need to show the hand so that I know that something is there, because we don't have any other color highlight or something. So when my mouse moves there, it turns into hand. Good. Okay, now this is fine, totally fine. So for the next one, this one, we will do the same thing. The style is the vanilla button, so we are stripping it off everything, and then we don't have any content. And the content, this time I'm going to put an ellipse with height is let's say 10, or width is, let's say, 5, and close it. And stroke thickness. So stroke is the border kind of thing. So let's say fill is what color do we need for maximus? Green. uh, let's say 15, so green, something like this. Okay, and I will add a stroke. I'll directly add here, or I will have a stroke and stroke thickness. Come on. Stroke thickness is 1, or maybe 0.5. And instead of this color, I will choose white color, so it looks something like this. Nice. Okay. I cannot set my size with respect to this button, so I will just put it inside a view box, so it will change its size to fill the content. It's like a shark. It will take the size of your environment. Okay, let's do the same here. Copy, and this button now takes this and remove the content, because only you can set the content once. And style is static resource vanilla button, and this color is now going to be red. Now that you know how this you can set this image, I will just comment it out. We don't need the image because we need to keep them all same. So let's make it the image is just to show you, just in case you, instead of these buttons, you want to take an image, you can do that. But okay, let's run. Maximize, minimize, and close. So that works. And this border looks a little bit odd in the end. This header, the last column of 10 looks odd. Let's make it 5 and see. Even 3 even looks nice. And this buttons should have little more margin. Let's say 5 looks much better. So let's try again and see. There we go. It looks fine. It looks much better than before. So that's good, but I still didn't cover this background part. That's what I'm going to do now. I will try once if it can be done straightforward, or else damage. Okay, so I will just leave it at it. I don't think there is a straightforward way to do this. I believe we need to create 2 borders, like one border to cut this header and another border to cut this bottom, and then we set them all. So at this point, I don't think we will have the time or energy to cover that. So, but forget about this transparency in the header, but this is how it is done now. So I will recap again quickly. First, let's go to the code. All you need to do is first you need to set your window style is none, which is very important. Once you set your window style as none, your whole title bar or the header is gone. And after that, you can set resize mode if you want to resize. And second thing is you change the background to null. And most important, allow transparency is equal to true. And come down here. I'm just trying to see something. Never mind. And the next thing is you set your grid and add a border. First border is to add your corner radius around everywhere, and second one is this is for cutting that, and second border inside which I am using the opacity mask to cut the borders. And you add a two grid rows. So first row you will add another grid and split it into columns. First column we have the grid on which when you press your put your left mouse button down, you will be calling drag move, and on the buttons you will call window state minimize, maximize, and normal or close. That's it, straightforward. And inside the content here you can do whatever you want. You will now the content contains a text block. You want to do something more, you will be able to do it. Now this is what it takes to build something. But now is it possible to reuse? Like can you reuse this in another, like now that you have set everything, how do you want to reuse this in another window? It is not possible, because what happens is you need to copy this main window, or copy this whole window and every settings, including the resources, this grid and whole settings until this point, and then you will copy all the values into another window, and from there you will be changing the text block, and then you will add your own content. So this becomes quite tiresome to copy, first thing. And second thing, imagine what if tomorrow you want to change something, some other value, some other shape, you want to modify the settings or shapes or whatever it is. Then if you have 10 windows, you need to change them all in 10 windows, so it becomes totally difficult. So if you're building a small application, directly calling them all looks fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more window, add a window, and let's call that window as new window. Now I'm going to add a NuGet package. If you have been watching all my previous videos, you know the name. Let me add WPF. I'm the author of Haley WPF. This is a small pet project that I have been doing for last 5 years. I have put in so much effort to build a standalone, fully functional, tested MVVM framework, WPF framework, and a lot of extensions, cryptography functions for licensing and image controls. So many things, almost 6 years of work has been put in this. So you can try it out. It's still going. Okay, now we have added it. And when you add a Haley, come on. When you add a Haley, you will get a notes which will say what to do. It's not exhaustive, but it is sufficient enough. I copy the resource dictionary, go to my app.xaml, place them inside my resource dictionary. And so now I got my Haley inside, go to new window, and now I will call my markup XML namespace. What is it? Haley WPF. HW is Haley WPF, and XML namespace Haley MVVM. You don't need MVVM at this point, you are not going to use it anyway. So WPF Haley comes with something called plain window. So you need two things. First thing is go to your code behind and you are deriving from Windows. You should not derive from Windows, you should derive from plain Windows using Haley.wpf.controls. Let me derive from plain window and go to my front end, plain window. And once I set my plain window, I might not be seeing it here, that is totally fine, but I have now the properties. Corner radius is equal to 15, and let us try. This don't be confused, this is the same main window. Let me go to my app.xml. I don't need the main window to start up. Basically, I don't need it at all. So I will use the event application startup. And first thing is main window, variable window 1 is equal to new main window, window 1 dot show dialog. But we are not going to show it. Let us comment it out. And new window variable, come on, window 2 is equal to new window 2 dot show dialog. Let's see how the Haley window looks. The plain window. Plain window, as the name suggests, comes in a very plain format. You can set the corner radius. Let us do something. Let us do like this and design them right here. Okay, so let me hide it out. I don't know if it is going down, and this is going to be my window. Okay, let us start designing our new window from the XAML. Okay, first thing first, background is now, is it transparent? Yeah, it is transparent. Let us not set the colors at this point because we will not be able to use the properties for browsing the colors, but we have something. The grid, let me change the background to white. Okay, now I have got my header is transparent, footer is transparent, and now I can do something. Corner radius, let us make 50 and 40 and see how it works. You could see that corner radius is 40, but that doesn't make any sense. No one is going to have like that, so let us keep it very simple, 10 or maybe 20. Okay, that looks nice, 20. And background, I will set the whole window background as purple, and purple is here, and this is still not a transparent purple. Okay, that is there. And you can change the colors, let's say crimson is kind of a red, or a cement. I don't know if cement is there. Alice blue means white. Okay, we have set it as Alice blue white. So we now need to change the color of our titles. So now here it comes, icon, not this icon. Haley comes with an icon attached properties. So let's say icon in Haley window, default color is gray. So there we go. So when you set the icon default color, your icon colors gets changed. So here you have something. If you see, I just now noticed my recording is only happening on a partial of my screen. So I think whenever I was maximizing it, you are not seeing anything. Anyhow, minimize, you would have seen it. So it got minimized and I opened it, and maximize, it maximizes, and the buttons, if I move, the color changes, the hover color. You can still change the hover color as well in Haley. All you need to do is go here and icon, HW icon, hover color, let's say crimson. Save it. So the color is now crimson. So move it and you save the color. And what if you don't like this, this three buttons, you don't like the three buttons. Let's say instead of gray, let's say black. You say like, I don't need this three buttons. I need the Mac OS style. So you have that as well. I think it is something called. It's not Windows style. It is control box style. Mac. Save. Okay, control box style is not a dependency property if I'm not wrong. Let me go inside. Okay, this is not a dependency property. This is a normal property. So only when a dependency property you change, the UI gets changed immediately. If you are setting a normal property, you need to close and restart your debug. So you'll be able to see this. Let's start with Mac. There you go. So now this is your Mac. So one, minimize, maximize, close. So minimize, minimized, maximize, maximized, select and move, select and move. And you don't like this. You don't like the height of the bottom. Let us change something. In the Alice blue, instead of Alice blue, let's say yeah, light yellow, so that we know the difference. Or even if it doesn't show the difference, let's go back to white. White is already white. So light blue. Okay, so now we see the difference in the top and bottom. You don't like the footer? Hide footer is true. Oh my goodness. So footer is also, it's not a dependency property. So you set them, you cannot check them while design debugging, but you can hide the footer. But footer height is something. Footer height is, let's say, 10. It is a dependency property. So you can see the difference there immediately. Header height is, let's say, 60. You have something like this, but the icons are still going to be on the top. You cannot expect the icons to be as big as your header, but if you want to make something look different, if you don't want anything, you want to make everything in the same color, just do like this. White and grid is white, everything looks fine. And header, let's make it just 40. That looks okay. And now I have hide the footer and hide. Okay, now let's talk about hiding buttons. Sometimes you want to set, like you want to hide your minimize button or maximize button or close button for many reasons. You might be want to do that. So let's say hide maximize button is true, and hide. Okay, let us just hide the maximize button alone, which means the green button should be hidden. Save it, restart. So the maximize button is now gone, and the footer is still there. So that's not a problem. Okay, so let me close this up. So let us open it again. So this plain window contains so many features. If you want to see, press select place a cursor on the plain window, press F12. You will see you can hide you have the control box template, header template, footer template, corner radius. Okay, what is a control box template and what is a header template? Okay, header currently only shows the new window, right? Let's say you don't want that new window, you want to show something like plain window data header template, and this is going to be a data template, and say grid dot column definitions, column definition, column definition with this equal to auto, and I'm going to place an image first. Image, come on, image with this equal to, let's say, let's not set the width, but let's set the margin is equal to 3. And for this image I will set a source of this medium, and then again I will have one more text block. Text is equal to hello window. So now what I have done is I have set a custom header template. If the header template is not there, then it just takes the title. If the header template is there, then the header template itself is shown. It doesn't make sense. Why? Because I put my text blocks and window image on the same column. So I should. This is our responsibility because we are setting the image and other things. So image height is equal to, let's say, 15, with this equal to, let's say, 15. Save. There we go. Even here there are a lot of things. The header goes up. So let me change this. Vertical alignment is center, horizontal alignment is left, margin is equal to 10 comma 0. Let me save. There I go, and now there is a much gap, and this height, let me make it 25, 25. Save. Now this is, if you want to add your company logo, you want to add something, you want to do something, that is totally up to you, because now this is a template. You can modify the template, a header template, whatever you want. Now just like how you can modify the header template, you can also modify the control box template. Currently control box comes with two flavors. One is the Mac flavor, another is the Windows flavor. You want to set Windows, it will be like the normal icons, the Windows template format, where you will be able to see this. Let's close, and I need to do something in my grid here. I will set is hit visible is equal to false. Why did I do this? Because if I don't do that, I will not be able to drag in the place where I have kept my icons. Even now, that's fine. If I remove my skid test visible, what happens is, if I have some kind of a button here, then even this button which is present on the header will be clickable. So that is totally up to you. Maybe you want to add some kind of icon here. See, I select here, but I'm not able to move, because if I can able to move only if I don't select, if I select the white space. If I select on the text, I'm not able to move, but here I will be able to move. The reason is, now the header template is on top of our border. It might be reasonable where, like, even if you see here in our Visual Studio, we have some icon here. I'm not sure if you press whether it will show some kind of, let's try that. When I press, yeah, it shows some kind of message here. So if you want to build something like this, you can put a button on the top left. So now we know that so now we know how to add this header template. And for a control box template, it is you also have something else called footer template, where if you add some kind of a footer template, you will be able to see that. I will show here directly in plain window. You have something called footer template, and then you have your control box template. But how do I do my control box template? Let me go down, go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. Where? Here, yeah. Here, control box template. Plain window, plain window, the control box template. Template. And remember, setting up a control box template is really border background is equal to purple, and I'm just setting up a border. I'm not setting anything else. Let's see how it goes. It doesn't show anything because it doesn't have a height and width. The height is equal to 30, width is equal to 30. Okay, so now we have this control template, but it doesn't do anything at all. Why? Because we did not set anything. So what you need is you need to add some kind of buttons, you need to add some kind of uh, colors or whatever it is. You need three buttons there. Let me add one button and show how it can be done. I will add a simple button, and I will add a margin of 4. you need to imagine how you should do it. You need to do 2 or 3 buttons. It's totally up to you, but each button should have a name. What is the name? If you want to know, press F12 in the plain window, go up and expand this. See, in the plain window, expand this. The button name that is expected is part close, part minimize, part maximize. Let's say I'm going to do a close button. Okay, so you need exactly this name because the control is expecting that name. So template is expecting the name. Name is part close. Did I do it correctly? Uh, yes, the name is part close. What did it say? What does it say? It's not valid. Of course, it does start with a. Okay, I don't know. That was weird. Okay, we have this name, and it doesn't not only the name. You need to add some kind of you know uh, command. Command. Let's say the command is xstatic additional commands dot close. Now remember, why do we need this part close? We don't even need this, but there is one specific reason for it. You have this options for hiding the maximize button, hide close button. So for the plain window to identify which is the close button to hide and remove, you need to give the name as a hide button. But other than that, if you don't give it, you will not be able to hide it, but the function still works. Now this button we have given as additional command close, so when you press it is closed. That's it. So additional command close, additional command maximize, additional command minimize. So you can design your own template for the control box, and and inside the template you can put 3 buttons, 4 buttons, whatever you want. You can even add a linked text and say like when you press the text you close it. You can make it very simple like this. I will show this. Okay, I will remove the whole border itself and I will say linked text, and I will say command is equal to static additional commands dot close, and label now its content is close. I'm adding a small text, and let's see how it goes. There is a button. Okay, the name is not content. The name is text. When you press close, that's close. Then it's totally up to you how you want to define it. Like you can just, as I said, imagination is the limit. If you don't set the control template, then the fallback is the default value, which is here a control box style. It is Windows or Mac. Then becomes like this. Okay, let me go to the background, remove the white, and that's it. So I think by now you should have a understanding about how it is. I will see you in another video.